So you've taken a mousetrap, and the cliche is you've built a better mousetrap. How are you getting any kind of pushback, any resistance from builders? I guess like anything that's new, you're going to get a certain amount that say, what the hell is this? It's a plastic house made out of a pop bottle. Versus other builders are going to be all over this, like white on rice.
Yeah, you really have to explain, and once they understand what it's capable of, you have an onslaught. As soon as there's a home in one area, you get, and they see it's actually built, approved, you have, 4 or 5 other builders being like, "Hey, I saw that go up. It went up in, a couple days. What's it made of? How'd you do that? I saw it survive a storm. You're done in 3 weeks. That would have taken years. What's going on?"
Welcome to the Builder Straight Talk podcast with your host, Michael Creaso. Get the unfiltered truth from the trenches of construction, real estate, and funding. This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.
Mr. Harrison Langley, I'm really excited to have you on today's call. You're a visionary, a trailblazer, and you're messing around with modular homes, which I find really kind of exciting. So first of all, welcome, my friend. How you doing today?
Doing great, Michael. Great to be here. Ready to talk about how modular's taking building to the next step.
It's kind of crazy. We've launched this podcast. It's only about a month or so, and the people that I've been able to interview, successful builders, but a lot of them are like you, visionaries that are kind of on the cutting edge of what's happening. I had one guy. The focus was on what do they call themselves? Biological home inspector or something. So they're talking about the science of what happens inside the home. 3D printed homes, right?
Oh yeah.
ADUs, and now here you are, and it seems politely, can I say there's a revolution happening in the building space right now?
Well, yes, I think there's a lot new ways to build. We've been stuck building the way our grandfather and father have with 2x4s for too long, and there's just great technology out there from 3D printed homes with concrete. AI being able to track what's going on inside your home, telling you its health. And we're here with our Lightship panel that can bring some energy efficiency and open up a lot of designs that weren't cost effective and now are.
Yeah, with the 3D printed thing, like when I first heard about it, I'm trying to conceptualize the 3D printer making these little bricks. And I'm talking to the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
like, how do you possibly, and he looks at me like I'm Gilligan, I fell off the boat. And he says, look, you moron, it's a guy with an iPad, big extrusion arm. And it was fascinating that within about 48 hours, they can have the exterior wall done, partition walls done. And if they have a roof that's prefab, they drop it in. It's enclosed within literally 48 to 72 hours. Just crazy.
Oh no, that's where we come in. We specialize really in roofs for our panels, being able to do spans up to 17 feet with our 6-inch panel. Like you said, when they print one of these concrete buildings, they don't have a real good roof structure in place. Soon as they're done with their 48-hour build, we can come in and put a roof on in a couple hours and sealed shell ready to go.
Okay, so let's rewind the tape here. Harrison, is your company focused on building the roofs, or is it focused on building the home, or you do it all?
Oh, we do it all. We're not just in residential and multifamily, like wrapping a metal framed apartment buildings. We're also in the agricultural space, growing food and fodder for animals at a cheaper cost, microgreens for restaurants. We've been in Bitcoin mining. Um, we're now moving into pools, and a lot of other exciting industries. We're trying to get some government contracts, for quickly assembled kits for the Arctic, for environmentally sealed dog kennels in case of fire weapons attack, and covering drones on aircraft carriers. So we've been using these panels in a lot of different aspects and a lot of different fields.
Okay, my bad. Let's go back to the beginning. I should have asked you to define what is it that you do. I think I just alluded to the fact that it's modular home, but give me, talk to me like I'm 6 years old. I won't be offended, right? What is the definition of a modular home versus like an ADU?
Yeah, modular components that go into a house are pre-made in a factory and then set up on site in a manner that makes it extremely quick. So all your labor's done under a roof, You're not affected by weather, and you can get all your components done. Then when you get to site, you set up quickly. Compared to an ADU, which is auxiliary dwelling unit, can be built on site or it could be wheeled in. Could be modular, but most of the time it's stick framed, built behind your house like a traditional home build. We want to make all those parts in a factory. So our Sedona kit home, that's six panels. You know, you have it's a 14 by 22. Your walls are each one panel, and your roof is two panels. So when it comes to your site, it goes up, you know, in a couple hours.
So in the factory, so you're in Sedona. Is that where you guys are located?
That's just the name of one of our models.
Uh,
We're based in factories based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right now.
Go hence the guitar in the background. I'll have
There
to
you
send you
go.
my banjo there and hang it up. Um, so you fabricate your own materials in-house. Do you guys then take it, assemble it in-house, kind of like a big jigsaw puzzle, and then take it apart, load it, and ship it?
Usually we cut down things with CNC. We have do some pre-test to make sure everything fits when it gets to site. Um, then it wraps up, you know, each panel's labeled, and when it gets to site, it's put in place. We also do the volumetric style, which is more modular, usually more of an expensive cost. And like we did this 3-bedroom, 4-bath in Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas, where we set 9 finished modules over there to build that house on site. It's definitely a more intensive process building a Cat 5 house in a factory. It took us 9 months to build it in a factory, but then 3 weeks to build it on site.
Yeah. Well, then you've got everything that's climate controlled. You're not affected by the elements outside. You're not worried about wood rot. I take it everything's a composite, or what are the
Yes.
material?
Yes. So compared to traditional SIP structurally insulated panels, which are usually metal or wood, we are fiberglass, um, which gives us a lot more benefits. You know, you're not susceptible to mold, mildew, fungus, insects. Um, we don't rust like metal. We're not thermal bridging like metal. Wood just has a really low R value, so it's always letting air in. All those 2x4s, you put them together, you got a door just blowing air into your home. People don't, I think, realize that. Um, so with our panel being all a composite material, we just have a lot of benefits in a lightweight package.
So again, talk to me like I'm 6 years. I'm trying to understand how the R value works when you've got itsy bitsy walls with very little space between them. Or am I missing something here?
Yeah, for the R value, that's the insulation value of your walls. Uh, Traditional homes, metal or even wood. Wherever there's a 2x4, that's an R3. R3 is in our panels like a half an inch. It's super thin, not very protective against the elements. Uh, so with a low R value, your heat or your cold inside your house escapes to the outside environment very easily. And with metal, it thermal bridge, like the metal gets warm, so your home gets warm, or your concrete on the outside gets warm, so the inside gets warm. With our light uh, Lightship panels, like when we use it for Bitcoin mining, you have a cool area where the computers are that needs to be 70 degrees, and then on the other side, they're blowing out their hot air that's 130 degrees, and you're keeping a 2-inch panel in between those two things to keep one side cool. That's kind of like when a spaceship comes back in from space from NASA. They have the paneling on the bottom that gets super red hot. That's dispersing all of that heat. So when you can touch it with your hands after it's been red hot, and we're kind of keeping out the heat, keeping the inside protected longer. The panels have been used for this military barracks in Kuwait, and the power went out for 2 weeks. And uh, Troops over there were able to open the windows and doors at night in the desert when it went down to in the 70s, close all the doors for the sun came up, and they were able to stay cool. They were going above 80 when it was over 110 outside.
That's crazy. Now, is this your technology that you developed? Is it something that's already been out there that you made better?
Uh, no, it existed in America in a couple forms, but then I licensed it with a group in Brazil and South Korea that had slightly better technology and brought it to the U.S. Uh,
Tell me about this concept of the light SIP. Is that how do you light SIP? Is that how you describe your
yeah,
panels?
LITESIP. Yeah, our Lightship panel. That's the name we just sell the product under in the U.S. Uh, Light because it's lightweight compared to other ships, and SIP because it's a SIP. We also make it a lot larger than traditional SIPs. You know, you have a lot of SIPs that are like wooden ones that are max size 8 by 10 feet, and our max size right now is 8 by 36 feet. So lot more length. And then we're only about a pound per square foot. A 10 by 20 panel is only 200 pounds. Four guys can lift that and put it into place. You don't need any heavy equipment on site. So it really helps the do-it-yourselfers take it to the next level.
So, in terms of the planning phase, like I take it that you've got certain floor plans that are already mapped out. Does it allow for customization, or is it kind of like Ford said, you can have every color you want as long as it's black?
No, it's every color you want but black. It has to be black. Windows and doors cannot change places for our pre-designed kits. But you know, you can change the color. Well, we'll allow that. We're a little more open to your finishing details. Anything that's ingress or egress, you have to we can't change with our standard designs. That especially applies to anything under 400 square feet, the PMR RV side, and then the manufactured home side. But then with a custom build, it's whatever you want. We can build it for you.
So
You
you
know,
can do custom. Okay, so
we
you're not
can do
locked into.
custom. We just we want it to be a little larger scale.
Got it.
So for the the guy who's building a couple 10 to 20 homes at a time, you know, we'll design 3 exterior shells and roofs for him, and he'll build that same design over and over again. Or people in ecotourism, they like our smaller units, and they'll get 3 to 20 of the same design, put them in a row, and you know start generating income off.
Okay, so help me understand what the relationship would be between you and then a builder, let's say a spec builder, because part of me wants to say, danger, Will Robinson, your competition, because you're building something, I'm building something, and there's a choice. But what's the symmetry? How is it that you guys work together?
Yeah, no, we are always looking to expand our builder network. We don't want to be a builder in every area in the nation. We want our panels to be used for building in every area in the nation. So in Chattanooga, yeah, we do our own spec homes and sell. That's just because we're based, but it's mostly we use them as tools to show other builders how to build in the rest of the U.S. So if any builders out there that want to join our builder network, we'd love for them to reach out and help them learn how to use this product and become certified with our system so we can actually get some warranties out there.
Okay, so that's opened up another door here. So you invite them to come to your facility. I take it you've got a certification process. So explain to me what's involved with that. So I'm a builder. I want to learn more about what you want to do, what you're doing. I want the certification. What's involved? How long does it take? What does it cost?
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything. We'll host you out on our factory. We'll show you one of our builds. We'll want you to come out while we're actually building something so you can understand how the roof and walls attach and how they go on. When you have your first project, we can send someone out to site, usually at customer or your cost. But as soon as we're satisfied that you understand the work and how it's connected and can install the panels without damaging them, installing them properly, we'll offer your clients, you know, 1 to 10 year warranties on the structural material. Um, and that really helps when we have certified builders in an area. Usually after we have one job, we have more jobs that follow. And having the right person in that area to feed that business to just expands the builder's growth and our growth at the same time.
I'd love to, after this, interview some of the builders that you're working with. It'd be great to get their perspective on how
Yeah.
they've married the two, if you will, traditional building and what you're doing. If anything, I see it just, it's another menu item that they can present to a consumer that differentiates them from every other builder.
Oh yeah, especially the guys going after ADUs or home renovations where they're adding on to a property. We'll happily sell the material to build a pool in an ADU, which is 20 to 15% of the actual build cost, and then the rest is on them finishing and making it look pretty,
Yeah,
doing
I,
all
I
the
was I
hard
was
work.
trying to wrap my. I interviewed and Whitney Hill. She runs an ADU company, founded it in California, and I was trying to get my head around this concept. It's not just like a little addition. It's actually up to 1,000, 1,200 square feet. That's a
Yeah,
house next
yeah.
to a house in a backyard. So that just kind of blows my little mind here. Um, are there any limitations in terms of what you build? Like how small, how big?
No, we'll send panels for any size structure. We don't mind at all. Anything under 400 square feet, we can do volumetric where we can build out and finish it for a client. Comes on wheels, a steel frame that attached to a pad. You still need a local GC, but a lot more finished. We do the modular side, which is much more expensive, and that's usually when we're dealing with the Caribbean or places that are hard to reach where there's not high quality builders or build times, like in the Bahamas takes 5 to 7 years from start to finish. We can get that down under a year. We're on site 3 weeks. Um, uh, that's where a lot of efficiency comes in. But on the other hand, you have builders that just want the shell. Putting 1,200 square feet, that's a 3 bedroom, 3 bath house. We have that structure on our website as a Freeport, I think for 110,000 for the entire structure.
Hold on,
Steel shell.
rewind for a second. So as a builder, I can order the structure, if you will, like just the exterior, or I can get a turnkey thing. So what's the advantage of tell me what the structure is? It just the exterior walls?
Yeah, the structure is the exterior walls, the roofs, all the connection material to put it to a concrete foundation or a lifted wooded uh, joist system. We give them everything for a sealed shell. We do provide the windows, the doors, anything to seal the cracks. So it's a sealed shell after you put it up with our kits. Um, we do the smaller under 400 square feet on wheel units that we can finish for a customer. But then still you need a GC to pull the permits, hook up the mechanical, do the foundation, connect the unit to the foundation, hook up the mechanical, then get the CO. So still a lot for a builder to do than the landscaping around it if they're adding more features. So there's a couple ways a builder can approach us. We're trying to help, them build quicker, help their bottom line, do more projects a year.
So let's take it from a basement or a pad. I call you from the time I put in my order, let's say 1,200 square foot home. And I want turnkey. Like I want everything in a box, little bags, and you're shipping it to me to assemble. I've taken your course. I'm certified. I know what I'm doing. How long does it take to do that versus let's take the factory out of the equation. Shows up at the site. Next door, Bob the builder is starting exactly the same time and he's got his lumber has just been dropped off. How long does it take for me to assemble what you've got versus next door could typically be what, 2 months to 3 months to do?
Yeah, 2 to 3 months. If he's good and has a crew of 4 to 5 guys, then yeah, you can do that. With one of our homes, if you're rushing it, uh, we've done one in 10 days, from start to finish. Um, so 1,200 square feet, 5, 6 guys that know what they're doing. You can really have that structure up in your first 3 days, 2 days, and have a sealed shell that first week. Um, then it's on your mechanical. If you can really push that, you can build a home in 4 to 6 weeks, just depending on your finishing crew. We'll get
Sounds
you. Yeah.
like a brilliant solution. I think the numbers right now in the US is you need to be building 1,000,000 homes a year for the next 20 years to catch up. And
Which
it seems
it's
as long as the
crazy.
land is available, you've got this turnkey solution that they could just be rolling out subdivisions all over the US. Are you finding that's starting to happen? Like, are you becoming more of an attractive option versus conventional stick and nail type building?
Yes, especially in areas that experience fire or tornadoes or hurricanes. We're seeing a huge demand away from stick built and something that's more stable, where we're doing the exterior and the roof for track builders who are doing 50 to 300 homes at a time. And we're just increasing their speed at which they're able to put up structures and get their crews in and out. So it's when it goes to scale, you can really see uh, the time savings and how much more someone can actually build a year.
Well, I got to think that time savings equates to savings in dollar manpower hours that they have to pay. If I were to compare, apples to apples in terms of build per square foot, how would you compare it to traditional? And I know numbers are all over the map from
Yeah,
300 to
no,
400.
it's pretty similar pricing to traditional. You're spending a lot less on labor. You're spending a little more on material, but what you're getting is, you're getting less or no truss systems, so vaulted ceilings without extra costs. You're getting a sealed shell. Your insulation's already there, so you're saving on not only your structure, your wood frame, but also on putting on insulation, which is another huge task. Um, and getting rid of those truss systems. Those are, you know, weeks of time you're getting back, uh, and you're getting the higher benefits of higher ceilings, which is definitely more in trend, and the ability to do flat and slanted roofs. Flat and slanted roofs with wood is extremely difficult to do right and make it actually look good and level. With our panels, we do a lot of slanted and flat roofs because it's easy for us. It doesn't add an extra cost, which we find is a design feature people are tending to like more in certain areas.
So you mentioned Bahamas and these wonderful tropical places that I'd love to go to sometime and have a fruity drink. But
Yeah.
what about in the colder climates? Like Alaska, Colorado, where you've got a snow load of 4 or 5 feet. How do
Yeah.
your flat roofs handle that compared
Oh
to
no, they're
traditional
they're
building?
great. The 6-inch roof can handle 500 pounds per square foot, which is like over 30 feet of snow. Like it's not going anywhere. We actually have the panels up in the Arctic for silver and diamond mines. Originally, it was just for the workforce, but they're so energy efficient and effective that the owners are using them now. And these units are placed right on top of glaciers, so they're sitting on ice where there can't be. You don't want any thermal bridging. You don't want any heat coming off from under your floor to melt that ice. And it's doing great.
So you've taken a mousetrap, and the cliche is you've built a better mousetrap. How are you getting any kind of pushback, any resistance from builders? I guess like anything that's new, you're going to get a certain amount that say, what the hell is this? It's a plastic house made out of a pop bottle. Versus other builders are going to be all over this like white on rice.
Yeah. You really have to explain. And once they understand what it's capable of, you have an onslaught. As soon as there's a home in one area, you get, and they see it's actually built, approved, you have, 4 or 5 other builders being like, hey, I saw that go up. It went up in, a couple days. What's it made of? How'd you do that? I saw it survive a storm. You're done in 3 weeks. That would have taken years. What's going on? So we get a lot of word of mouth wherever we do a project, and that usually just grows our business more and more.
So when you said you just mentioned approval there, is that something you have to do state by state? Do they look at how you produce these homes and it's approved then and they can be built? How does that process work?
With modular construction, it is state by state. And that's a really hard code to get under. Um, for manufactured and PMRVs, those are federal programs under ANSI 1195. So as soon as you pass the test, you can sell anywhere in the U.S. for that structure. So you can't change the windows or doors because that structure is already approved, um, and modified. So and Most of the time, we're building on site, so they consider traditional construction for bank loans, for insurance. Um, and if the insurance company actually understands what's going on and the material, you get a better rate because they know it's going to be more energy efficient, less maintenance, more likely to survive extreme weather event. Um, and we have seen people get credit for that.
Yeah, that's the one that I think a lot of, I don't want to say custom builders, but people like you that are leading the space in technology advancements, they forget about the insurance part of the equation. So up here, there was a fad for the longest time. They started building homes out of hay, big bundles of hay, and you think, wow, our value's phenomenal. They wrapped it with chicken wire, put plaster on it, and these things look phenomenal. Like they're
Yeah.
really, really great. The two stumbling blocks were they couldn't get financing on these things because banks couldn't wrap their head around financing hay, and the insurance companies were saying, "No, this thing will just burn," like Dante's Inferno. Even though the builders are saying, "No, no, no, no," the exterior that we're using is fire retardant, and it just died in the field, right?
Oh yeah.
When I look at what you're doing, and you mentioned something about durability and fire resistance, how would they have fared in like a climate California, like we just had those crazy fires? Would of the homes had a better chance of surviving through that?
Yeah. Our material is self-extinguishing. It by itself, it has a 30-minute fire rating. We've gotten it up to an hour fire rating um, with just adding aluminum to the process. Um, and then when you wrap it with concrete, like the standard, you have to do it in California anyway. Um, and the sprinkler system inside, yeah, you have nothing that's really combustible. You have a structure that doesn't want to burn. With super extreme heat, and everything's gonna smolder and melt, but you have a much stronger chance with panels than a wood structure.
Are you getting? I would think with what you've got, you'd be getting the phone ringing off the hook from California for solutions to come out and build.
We do. We're doing 3 projects out there right now in different areas, and I think each one of those is turning into many more projects of people wondering, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you building with? What's going on? How does it work?" And we're seeing a lot of interest based on our current demand, our current builds.
So when you say project, builder calls you, says, I want to build for, typically, I guess they would start off with one proof of concept that works. They're enamored by it. Now they want to do four or five. Is that kind of the ascension? They buy one and then start moving into buying more?
Yes, we see a lot of people buying one-offs and then coming back and either doing 3 to 20 or 50, depending on where they are. A lot more just want us even just seeing one built in their area, they're okay with jumping off at that.
What's it like from the consumer's perspective? I mean, we've talked about the builders here, but what about the people that are actually buying them and moving in? Have you had any feedback from them?
Well, yeah, it's much more energy efficient. Their power bill was a lot less than they thought it was gonna be. So they're spending close to the minimum required instead of uh, spending a lot on either heating or cooling. So that's been the major plus is the energy efficiency. Besides that, they can't really tell the difference between traditional and using the panels when it's a finished unit.
Oh, so again, talk to me like I'm six because I've never been into one, and I'm gonna have to come down to Chattanooga with my banjo and take a
Yeah,
tour.
there you go.
Interior wise, does it feel like stucco? Is it smooth vinyl? What are the interior walls like?
So usually of interior walls, people put up drywall or they put up wood or beadboard. We can make the panels the wall, and we have done it on cases where we add a color or texture to the panel while it's being created. So for one company, they use this yellow color, and we'll put that yellow color into the panels. But it's actually not, even if it scrapes, it's still yellow. And people can use that as an exterior. They don't have to actually wrap them. Uh, so for cheaper do-it-yourselfers who just want a cabin somewhere that's lightweight material, we'll get them a bunch of forest green and brown panels they can go go build a little bug out shelter um, with just the panels. So no additional finishes necessary. And we've seen that a couple times in a couple use cases.
It's cool. So you're actually appealing to a do-it-yourself market as well.
Yes, I think the do-it-yourself market is huge. We tried to sell them just standard panels and let them come up with whatever they want, but we've seen some interesting little teardrop homes, deer stands, ice fishing stands, dog houses. Um, Do-it-yourselfers have used it for a lot of different hobbies. Take it to the next level.
What are you doing to get the word out? Like, how do you actually attract potential clients? Are you relying on, traditional methods, print, newspaper? Are you hitting the internet, SEO? What's your, if I say secret sauce or formula to get exposure and clients? What are you doing?
Yeah, a lot of it is through social media, um, and normal print. Whenever we get a publication, we try to boost it on social as well. Just getting the word out nationwide on what we can offer consumers. Much better way to build their structure.
Have you got videos online of, time lapse arrives on site being assembled?
Yes, we have a couple. We need to get better at it. We have a couple builds that we're doing this summer that we're going to do a much better job videoing the start to finish process. But yeah, you can look us up on we have YouTube as well with and our social media sites for some shorts on infos on how the panels go together.
That's where it's blowing up right now, just unprofessional shorts. That's what people want, man. You got to get out there with your little iPhone and just shoot it as it's going.
That's it. Not a lot of people buy from shorts, but you get a trickle.
Yeah.
That's for sure that are actually interested.
Well,
Uh,
let's talk about what you guys are doing. Are you developing, like you made reference to the fact that you are building your own home. So you're selling to builders, do it yourself guys as well. But are you buying land and building yourself?
Yes, yeah, we have a couple spin-off entities that we've actually developed some sites that we're building and selling. 7 lots right now in Chattanooga that we're working on, building on 2 of them. Um, it's always good to be building for ourselves, just to make sure we can always show someone how it's being built, how the numbers work, so they can really understand from start to finish the costs that go into it and compare it, make sure it works in their area before they set off and try to do it themselves.
So are you going out and buying raw land, developing it, getting it ready, and then building on top of it?
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
doing all the work.
How many on average would you be putting out a year that you guys are doing personally versus I'm selling around the world?
It's scaling up. Well, we're only doing 2 this year. We'll probably have started 2 more, so we'll probably have 4 that will be our own specs that we'll sell this year, and then we're probably looking to do 10 to 20 a year. Uh, Really become land developers, putting 20 to 100 lots on a site, thing 90% of them to other developers to build, and showing off our units on 5 to 10 of those lots. Um,
S So do you see that as becoming, a separate revenue generator that you're actually gonna buy the land, develop, and build, and the other part of the company is selling to builders and to the public directly?
Yes, I mean the land development company. We do it under a separate entity with the same partners, just to separate it out. Uh, but it's all controlled, and where Modular Brands is running the show. But we take it on local partners for the land development side, and then the majority of what we do is really just sending out panels. Probably 70-80% is sending them out to other people to build. And I expect that just to keep going up.
Wow. What do you see as the future of what you guys are doing? Like, you've been cutting edge, fair to say. Um, 5 years from now, will the build be the same? Will the materials be the same? Do you see, like, new innovative technologies that are on the forefront that's gonna make this
Oh yeah.
another, explosive step forward?
No, the ability to 3D print connections, I feel like is going to be taking off. So making the assembly even quicker on site with quick connects between panels and wall systems, having the panels actually go together in more seamless way. more interlocking connections. Our ability to put wood or metal into the panels kind of goes back to your insurance question. Insurance love to connect things to wood. A lot of the insurance code is, yes, roofing has to be connected to a wood. So we're putting furring strips inside our panels so you can meet that insurance quality. It just we're seeing a lot of advancements in just the material itself, and our ability to produce more of it quicker. Uh, so that's a high level machinery that takes up to a year to actually get to the U.S. We'll just be advancing the cause and making more and more panels. Right now, could probably pump out 4 million square feet a year, and we hope to get that up to like 20 to 40 million square feet a year.
Wow. And this is all done in one facility that you guys have right now.
Uh, right now, we do it in multiple facilities. Well, we'll see where, the U.S. is such a big landmass that you really need 3 or 4 warehouse spots where you can repair panels and make cuts and store them. West Coast, the North, closer, South, closer to Texas, and the East. It's a huge area to cover. You can't really do it out of one facility to
Well,
be
you're gonna become
efficient.
the Amazon of home building. You'll just have factories across the US, distribution hubs, I guess, like you said,
Distribution
you have to get them
hubs,
out
yeah,
quick. Yeah.
yeah. We've our builder network is growing quickly, and our demand from our B2B is really starting to take off, especially when they actually see it and understand the product and what it can do for them.
I'm intrigued by we were talking earlier about the ability to customize these as long as the windows don't change and, door tracks, whatever. What's been how do I say, what's been the most challenging build or design that you guys have done and what made it so?
There's a couple. The large scale grows where we're installing panels into an existing structure, usually on a concrete floor that's not level. Our panels, we're precision cut. Uh, concrete, large concrete pads are not very precise. So it's actually fitting the panels to the concrete is one of the biggest challenges, especially when it's an old slab or pre-existing slab. Making supports and customizing the fixtures. And then for the Bitcoin mines, we had to cut out probably like 3 or 400 4x4 little squares into a panel with a CNC machine, and it was known to kick up. So someone always had to be watching the machine so it didn't kind of screw up the panels, which happened a couple times where we had to cut them down. Uh, So super precise work and job sites not being perfectly flat, like and perfectly like we designed it to be. The real world is never smooth. It always has its bumps you have to come over.
No, that's what keeps it interesting.
Oh
So,
yeah.
again, talk to me like I'm six. I'm lost here. When you say Bitcoin mine, I'm thinking Bitcoin online digital currency, but obviously that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah. A, basically a Bitcoin mine is a server room or a room where there's a wall of computers all blowing hot air out one side. So
Kind of
extreme
like me
process.
for the past 20 minutes. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. No, it's a very loud processing server. Very, very hot. Um, and so you basically have these walls of these shoebox-sized computers blowing hot air, sucking clean air on one side, hot air out the other side, and the panel goes along, and you only have those little 4x4 holes blowing out hot air, 300 of them on a wall, and then you have two walls facing each other, so you have 400, 800 computers blowing hot air on you, and then sucking it out to outside air, and circulating fresh air into the other side. So there's a lot of separation needed um, for them to run efficiently.
Got
Uh,
a computer room. So that brings up another question back to the residential side of things. Um, we talked about heat efficiency, that these things are just awesome for retaining heat and keeping it cool. What about sound in terms of sound density and as a buffer from outside noise?
yeah, no, there's okay with sound. The softer porous materials like drywall are much more sound absorbing, or really dense concrete is more. But compared to a wooden house, yeah, it's a more more sound deafening, keeping sound out than traditional homes. But you can definitely design it to be higher intensity. Like we've done some sound booths and recording studios where the panels are used as the main sound bridging material. So it's yeah, we've seen a lot of good uses out of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about you for a bit. Like before you started all this university, you were in arts and physics, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, which are like it's like left brain, right brain. Uh,
yeah, no,
you're an anomaly. Like, were you born in a test tube or something like that that you can think of both sides of your brain? And
no, yeah, it was more astrophysics, planetary bodies. The school I went to, College of Charleston, has a great relationship with NASA and some really cool courses where designed a mission to Enceladus, the icy moon of Saturn that has ice volcanoes and organic matter coming out as a survey mission to put a probe on the planet and survey best place to land a larger rover to drill down into the underwater lakes of Enceladus. And that project won in that competition, so that's exciting. I did do a lot of art. I sold art on Broad Street in Charleston, a gallery, Broad Street Gallery, which I don't think it's no longer there, but good passive income. Big scene for government projects. I'll have to include art, like 1 to 3% of their budget. So there's a huge market for artists who understand business, but a lot of them don't. They're very emotional. And then real estate was the other thing I focused on, which I still kind of carry out and do. Um, then after college, I founded the Collier County Waterkeeper nonprofit for swimmable, drinkable, fishable water here in Collier County, Florida, which is part of the Waterkeeper Alliance, which is a international organization. Um, then I did Bitcoin mining myself to realize, there's a lot of larger players. Uh, Elon Musk totally dominates that industry. He bought out like three of the mines we worked for. Um, and now it's just centralized in Austin and Alco, which is just a huge, used to be an aluminum processing facility. I think it's just north of Austin, like 75,000 acres. Crazy. A lot of computers, a lot of huge server rooms just mining Bitcoin in the Texas heat. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but cheap power. Um,
75,000 acres.
yeah, it's
Great
huge.
jumping, man.
Yeah. Then I got into, you know, the housing crisis, and really when container homes were coming out like 7 years ago, I looked at it. Containers are a horrible material to use to build a home. They're meant to transport goods. They need so much modification to make them suitable for humans. Some great friends who do it, but they stay below the Mason-Dixon line because I can't insulate them. It's a hard base material to start from.
They look funky, they're cool looking. Dollar for dollar, I think at the end of the day, you're actually spending more. And in terms of, like you said, the amount of customization that, well, not customization, the amount of work you have to do to get it ready to
Yeah.
be livable in, yeah, I think the funk value doesn't outweigh the cost. That, and maybe that's just me personally.
No, if you like the aesthetic, just use corrugated metal to finish your outside. It looks the same. You don't have to use the base container. Uh,
Which
but
defeats the purpose of why you're using the container in the first place, because you figure, like, I'm one to talk. I live in a train station, so yeah, what the hell do I know? Yeah.
yeah, no. But that was really how I got into the housing crisis, and trying to find a solution where we could build more homes quicker in the U.S. Americans, they don't want to live in a 400 square foot box. They don't want to live in a 20 by 20. And there's a lot of models that are pitching that you should live in under 400 square feet, and that just doesn't work for a lot of people. Um, so we think with our panel solution, we can build quicker and even hard to get to areas and still give the end consumer the layout, the space that they want to live in and feel comfortable and not overcrowded.
I think the sad truth is the people that are pitching those as a solution are the people that would never live in one.
That is true. A
Funny
lot
how
of
that
it
works,
is
eh?
Yeah, that is true. It's a lot of marketing.
Let's talk about you for a sec. So obviously, when you formulated this company, uh, like any CEO or entrepreneur, there must have been sacrifices that you made to do this. Was there ever a time where you just said, you know, shit, I should have just been in a park playing guitar?
Oh, yeah, hundreds of times. If it was easy, everyone would do it. I
Yeah.
mean, starting a business and going into construction material in particular, that is run by conglomerates and groups that have been around for hundreds of years, and they like the way they build. It's standardized. They don't want to change. So, you're trying to move the needle with dinosaurs that have outlived their time. It's time for new solutions that actually can give what they promise. Uh, give a consumer a better structure for same price that will last a lot longer and not have the long-term costs that a wood frame will ultimately give you.
What have been some of your biggest, let's say, personal challenges to keep focused, keep sharp, keep innovative?
In the beginning, there's some tough days, between jobs, making sure you can stay in business. Every job counts. So it's especially in the beginning, every job really matters. You have to focus on your consumer's experience, your customer's experience, and making sure those first ones are successful and happy. That's the real way we grow is word of mouth. We go to a location, someone sees us, and as soon as we're there, we want to grow.
Yeah. Are you a micromanager, or have you got a good team underneath you and you let them play?
I'm starting to get a good team that understands what needs to happen. I don't want to be a micromanager. I really want a team that's confident in what they're doing, to be able to handle the day to day by themselves. Let me focus on the bigger picture of closing longer deals and larger developments, and really propagating the company.
Was it worth it in the end?
Oh yeah, definitely worth it. We've it's been a struggle, but we started right before COVID, which is not the greatest time to start. A lot of our original customers just disappeared overnight, so it was a struggle. A lot of iterations and goals and planning, and we like the standardized units or the building the same thing over and over again. Uh, that's what we prefer. So we try to focus on those consumers. We still do the custom projects and the custom builds. They still sneak in there, um, but we're starting to get more standardized and building the same thing over and over again, which is what we want to do.
When we were talking about space earlier, your eyes lit up like a 6-year old. Is there any calling to work with NASA or Musk in looking at developments like on Mars, Saturn, places beyond?
Yeah, our material is great for building in space. Metals and wood, organic material doesn't do well in space. Metal contracts and gets bigger and smaller. So radon's used some of our materials. We don't know what they used it for, but I bet it was something shooting it up into space. No, it's a great material for you know future future space exploration. Asteroid mining, I think, will be a big thing in the next 30, 40 years. There's a lot going on. I don't know how, you know, Musk has been pretty politicized recently for his governmental interactions. He needs to stick to just developing cool technology for the future.
Yeah, that's a political cool carrot I'm not going to bite on, but it's kind of hard when you take a guy. Oh, what have you done lately? Well, I've built electric cars. Oh, I'm building these monstrous machines that do underground tunnels. Oh, I'm sending people into space. Oh, I'm rescuing astronauts from space. Oh, what have you done lately? It's like, yeah, I just have to shake my head. Here's a guy that came from nothing and has literally revolutionized the world. He's the richest man on the planet, one of the biggest entrepreneurs. But yeah, let's put him on a cross and vilify him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Have I gone too far? Pull me back at any
no,
time. But
no, it's true. A lot of great innovation has come from him, but he doesn't have much compassion or sympathy. I don't think he recognizes it in other people. He demands you work 24/7, live in the office, get the job done, be super excited about it, which isn't the the entire population. Is
Yeah, I've
much
I've
different.
never met the man. My brother-in-law worked with him. My brother-in-law had a aerospace company in Canada. He built like a flying car, literally a flying car. Redundant batteries for everything. Couldn't make a go of it in Canada because of our regulations. But an aerospace company in California literally came, swooped up the entire facility and brought it out to Silicon Valley. And Musk was on the board of directors, so they got to interact quite a bit. I think I'm not saying anything bad about Elon Musk. I think it just his brain is just wired differently. That ability to be empathetic isn't there, or is to a lesser degree there, because there's the other part, which is the innovation, the focus, the dedication. So you can't have both maybe in balance. Do you want to be a wildly forward thinking entrepreneur or somebody that's giving hugs and breastfeeding your employees? I don't know.
Yeah, the two don't really mix.
Yeah, there's got to be a bridge. Yeah, and breastfeeding. I guess that HR is going to be calling me up on that one. Okay. Um, Anything that I've missed here, Harrison? Any question that I should have asked you that you wish I would ask you?
You know, we uh we put a lot of effort into disaster relief uh areas. And that's either, building structures stronger in areas or helping first responders with structures that they can take into disaster zones and be able to be a hub, or already have these hubs created in different zones, especially within the farming community. There's a million small farmers that make under 100,000 in the U.S., and it's a vital backbone for U.S. Food production and industry for us. So when these natural disasters happen, it's hard for them to get fodder to feed the animals, and the cost of it has gone up triple and quadruple what it used to be. So, with a container-sized structure, an 8 by 40 made out with our panels, they can produce 300 to 600 pounds of fodder a day, off solar, um, off grid, not needing big consumers. Um, so just the use in agriculture, I feel like there's such a big demand that we're just starting to scrape the surface of, because we're just learning more about it. It's definitely an underserved community, but a vital one.
It's like the imagination is the only limiting factor here. I didn't even think about first responders and need like it's so typical. They need a place to live. Why they're going to be on
Yeah,
site for the next month, 2 months, a year. Yeah.
yeah, and they want that structure to be hurricane rated. They want to be able to bolt it down, but they need Starlink in it so they can be connected to internet. Um, be able to report on the scenes. They need to be protected. There's a lot of looting and husbandry theft when natural disasters happen. So it's vital that they have safe structures that they can live and operate out of. Um,
You're obviously really passionate about this, and you bring a unique skill set to the table. If you were to put together a committee, like a living lab, if you will, and you're going to be developing the community of the future, what would that look like?
so we've actually talked to a couple people doing communities of the future, utopian communities. I think my favorite version of it is the community farming community with the barn dominiums. Where people can look after each other's animals, where the pasture lands around, they can stay protected, having microgrids, so everyone has their own solar panel systems that can all fit into a major grid. I feel like microgrids are something that the U.S. will start branching off into doing more and more of. But for community's sake, being as less dependent on the grid as possible while still having access to it. I like it to be more tropical, but I like the southeast. Uh, great access to a water source. Have to be around the water, river, or ocean, or lakes. But Yeah, think agriculture and off-grid base with a connection to the grid. Um, you know, maybe that's a little doomsday prepper of me, but I've seen a lot of different variations. And the transformation of traditional septic systems. We've had the same one for a long time, and one house can literally septic can be cleaned for a 4 bedroom by a 5 by 10 foot little filter marsh. That you can make out of panels 3 feet deep in the ground, local flora and fauna on top of it, two-tier systems that filter the water just to put it back in the environment. So you're not pumping waste, you're taking care of it on site. The US, you can't use that for vegetables or gardening, but you know, you can have flower gardens and they stay warm throughout the year because of the microbial growth and the actual septic feed. Uh, but that's whole nother topic, whole nother use
Man,
case. Sorry.
it's like a white canvas that you can paint on. That was good. Very good. Harrison, my friend, thanks for taking time out today. I learned a lot. Any parting words for
Well,
for builders listening in?
yeah, just build stronger today, not tomorrow. We have the technology and the building materials now where we should be building our homes so that are a lot more efficient, a lot stronger than they traditionally were, and we're here to help them do it. Build quicker and increase their cash flow.
If they want to find out more about you, where can they go?
Easiest place is mdlrbrands.com. I can sign up for a Calendly link and have a meeting direct if they want.
Awesome. Again, my friend, thanks for taking time out today and for changing the future and making it a better place.
Thanks for listening to Builder Straight Talk. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. Until next time, keep building smarter. This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.